What's up, everyone? My name is Stephen Michaels. I am joined here with Phil Robertson. This is the Raiders Weekly. We have back-to-back victories, Phil.
That's called a winning streak. It's been a long time since we've seen one, almost to the end of last year, actually. But we now have back-to-back victories for the first time all season. And it looks to me like things are beginning to turn around. I'm not going to say that we've quite seen this video before, but they found a formula that works, and they're continuing to increase the scoring output against better and better teams.
Yeah, and listen, the Broncos, the Broncos are the worst team in football. So it's like, okay, fine, they beat the Broncos. But then when you beat the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle, Seattle's a good team with a winning record. That means something. That means a lot more than a Denver win. Plus, you got back-to-back victories, and both games went to overtime. You would like, the Raiders to dominate one of these games, but still, man, back-to-back victories in Seattle, where it's crazy to win there. The crowd is so loud and shit. Derek Carr
out of first place. Didn't just beat him in, knocked him out of first place at home.
Yeah, and it didn't start off so well. Derek Carr throws an interception. First play of the game. It started looking like, okay, this could be like the New Orleans Saints game. That's what it felt like when he threw that first interception. And it was just gonna get bad. It was just gonna get bad. And then he threw another interception. You're like, oh boy, this.
At that point, I was like, and I'm just waiting for the trifecta because I know he's got a fumble in him. I know if they get anywhere close to him, that ball's dropping on the ground.
And instead, they figure it out, just like Tampa Bay did to Seattle a week prior or 2 weeks prior, because they had a bye. They ran the ball a lot, but the Raiders have Josh Jacobs, and Josh Jacobs just completely dismantled Seattle. What was his stats again, Phil? What was it?
39 total touches from scrimmage, 303 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
And he had the walk-off run where this guy's not known for his breakaway speed.
No.
It manages to do that mostly because he had no defenders back there. The safety was too busy with Devontae, and this guy, boom. Number 72 had a good block, and the fullback had a good block. They really cleared that gap, and that dude was off to the races like Bo Jackson, man.
Never seen. Actually, it was said by Next Gen Sports. They clocked him at 20 point. I think it was three or 4, but they clocked him at basically almost 20 and a half miles an hour, which is the fastest he's ever been clocked as a pro.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, he's playing. This is a pay me.
You said it before I could. Pay this man his money. If you look at the free
I get nervous, though. I get nervous.
Hey, listen.
This guy
it is what it is. You got to pay this man. He's produced.
I know.
He's produced. He's earned it. You got to pay that man. It sets a bad precedence in the locker room. If you look at all these press conferences that Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels have done, whenever you hear them talk about Josh Jacobs, they just start smiling, and said he's done everything that we've asked him to do. Pay that man his money. Pay that man his money before he earns any more, because he's going to finish with about 1,600 yards, rushing yards, cracking double digits. Hey, he's already the NFL's rushing leader. He might, the way he's catching passes now, he's damn near entering prime Le'Veon Bell territory.
Yeah, well, that's the thing though too, is since they put that 5th-year option on him, this guy, it's not so easy to be like, oh yeah, we'll pay him. He can go test free agency and go get a lot of money from somewhere else.
Somebody's going to pay him.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely don't want him going to the Chiefs. You
cannot
have that.
You can't have that. So it's like one of those things. They drafted Zamir White, obviously, to be his replacement, right? That's why they didn't get a 5th-year option. Everyone knows that. Then Josh McDaniels start seeing this guy in the field and was like, shit, this guy's really good. And and all of a sudden he's like, no, I'm not coming out of the game either, by the way. Because if you remember the first couple of weeks, Josh McDaniels is trying to get him out of the game and he's like waving him off. Nah, I'm not going off.
No,
Not happening. And I think that kind of put Josh McDaniels almost in his place. Like, no, listen, here's the deal. I think more players have to do that to Josh McDaniels. You know what I mean? Like, I think more, and I think they have. I think something happened.
it's not more players because when you start having more players do it, that's when you got anarchy and shit gets sideways. I've always been a guy that says that you as a coach, the one thing that you must identify is the will of the team and who the leaders of the team are. And the leaders of this football team are Max Crosby and Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say that too. If it wasn't for Max Crosby, the Raiders don't win this football game.
Nope.
They don't have the opportunity in overtime in the fourth quarter because Seattle would have, I mean, that he had a big sack there. Then in overtime, I mean, he gave the Raiders offense the opportunity to win the game. If you take Max Crosby out of that football game, the Raiders don't win.
Max has been incredible too, to be honest with you. Not physically and what I mean that I don't mean physically. I'm talking about in his overall football awareness, being aware of who's trying to block him, how to beat it, where to choke off runs and scrambles at the proper angle. And he's just been playing at a different level mentally, and it's just is great to see, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's just always going. Like that kid just doesn't stop. You know what I mean? Like he's just completely going. Like he's nonstop. The Raiders are very lucky to have him because they don't got any other
thing else.
They what's his name? Billings. I think it was Billings. He had a good game.
He's been playing a lot better. I looked at him as a space eater, and he's still a space eater, but he's making more of an impact. Bilal Nichols is starting to find himself closer to the football more often. And lo and behold, Chandler Jones has now showed up and made a couple plays. And if you watch his play, I saw about 4 or 5 times where he got a hand on Geno while Geno still had the ball.
Yeah, I know. That's Chandler Jones. Oh, so close, but just can't get there. Can't get to the post. But listen, here's the thing is the Raiders, they go into this game, and like I said, they're underdogs. They come in. They had to battle a whole bunch of adversity. That they throw an interception to start the game. I mean, everything was going wrong, and somehow they just kept climbing out of it. They're scoring. I mean, they put up 40 points. I mean, they kept going and going and going. The Raiders secondary continues to be an issue. I mean, they're bad. That secondary is just bad. But let me tell you something. The Raiders had a good defense. There's right now their record would be so much different.
I don't think it's the secondary that's so bad as much as this is where I will finally acquiesce to your call about the defensive game plan. They just vacate the middle of the field.
They
just vacate. It's not so much as the secondary that's getting torn up. It's the fact that there's no goddamn body in the fucking middle of the field. The one time they drop Denzel Perryman back into,
he gets an interception.
He intercepts the ball after bumping both receivers at the crossing point.
Because Patrick Graham is not very good. Now, I'm telling you the truth. This is the truth. I've been telling you this all year. It's like they neglect it. It's like they put these DBs out there and they're like, just hit even when they try to bracket them, they're always on the outsides. Some of them are just sitting there, but there's no one in the middle of the field. So a guy like Tyler Lockett, right down the seam, boom, open. I mean, that's why they're throwing to the tight end, open, right there. I mean, it's just so easy in the middle of the field for all these teams to throw off the Raiders, and they're going to continue to do that. But once the Raiders, if they had a pass rush, if, let's say, Chandler Jones was good, and it was Max Crosby and Chandler Jones, they're getting after a quarterback, that would create more turnovers. And all these games they only lost by, a touchdown or less.
Right.
They would given the offense more opportunities with the ball. I I think their record would have been a lot better. I mean, it's just. I mean, think about it. If they created more turnovers, they would have won more games.
Well, that'll be a point of debate because if the offense had converted on their last possessions, they'd have won all them games anyway.
Yeah. The offense had plenty. They had the Colts game when Derek Carr was crying about it. I mean, like I said, and I said on this show,
No business crying about that game. Not as bad as he played because the defense did everything they could to give them that game.
Yeah, and he had the ball at the end of the game to win it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he didn't win the game. Like he failed.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really be crying about people not. I mean, you had the ball.
Right.
You have Davante Adams.
That was you who fucked up, buddy.
Yeah, but he comes back. He beats Denver, and then he beats. I mean, the Raiders have to beat Denver. So I was telling all the Raider fans, like, if the playoffs aren't going to happen, at least you got to go into. You want to beat Denver. You want to beat the Chargers. You want to beat these AFC West teams because they still mean something. It's a rivalry. So instead, they go into Seattle and they actually win, which was incredible. So now the Raiders are on a mini win streak. Josh Jacobs was fantastic in this game. Derek Carr, if you take away his 2 interceptions, which you can't, but let's say he didn't throw those, he played really good outside of those 2 interceptions. Foster Moreau had a couple bad drops.
He got two gimmies. The one that Abdullah was wide, he knew he was going to be wide open the moment the safety left that area of the field. Mac Hollins on the flea flicker. He threw a 3-4 yard pass, and there was nothing else.
That's because Seattle doubled Davante Adams all game long. They put a safety right next to the corner. They just dragged. Sometimes they had the 2 safeties dragging around that route, making sure one was over the top. The other guy was just following along Davante Adams. You're taking away 3 guys to the right side of the field, and that's why with that flea flicker, it worked out so well. I mean, Mac Hollins could have crawled into the end zone. I mean, that guy was so wide open. Good play design. Now, I did have a couple problems with Josh McDaniels' play calling, which I always do. Like that pitch they did. That was stupid. Listen, you need 1 yard. You're telling me you need 1 yard?
Not a yard. Inches.
Yeah.
You needed that much.
All Derek Carr had to do is take a knee, and you probably can get a yard. I mean,
and they're not the defensive tackles weren't pinching gaps. I mean, it was like I looked at that. I was like, why are we not running the sneak? Why are we? It's right. I'd have been like the ball.
I mean, all Derek Carr has to do is fall down. That's
all he had to do.
It was like an inch. So like either way with those plays, they give you the first down unless you get like stuffed way in the back like I did. But I mean, all Derek Carr has to do is put his head down and kind of just like fall down, and they were giving the first.
Make sure he doesn't fumble and just dive with the ball out, and then cover it up once you get.
Yeah, you just go like this and tuck down, and you get it. I mean, it's only an inch. They can't really tell if you got an inch or not either way. First of all, they should have never been in that situation because that was a first down.
It was.
And all of a sudden, I'm watching it on TV, and then it's like way past that yellow line they're showing, and then they're like, oh well. Then they bring it out there and they move the ball back like a whole foot. I'm like, what are you doing?
They were doing their best to fuck the Raiders out of everything. I mean, you see 12 defend a guy running off the sidelines, running onto the field. Nobody calls it. I mean, like, what the fuck are we really doing out here?
I mean, what would have happened? This is my question. What would have happened, in case people don't know, when Derek Carr threw the interception? Was the first one?
Yeah, I think it was the first one. First play of the game.
There was a linebacker for Seattle who was not in the game. He was on the sidelines.
On the sidelines.
And when the guy got the interception, this guy ran to go celebrate, but the play wasn't dead. And then he started blocking. So then they had 12 guys on the field blocking. Now, I don't know what would have happened if Seattle would have ended up scoring. Like,
I got a better question. What would have happened if that guy runs off the sidelines and just says "fuck it," goes and go? He's laying a block on Derek,
I know. That's what I'm
and
saying.
and to top it off, they score. What happens then?
I don't know. I just want to know if they scored on that play.
Oh yeah,
Would that have counted? Or
no,
I mean,
no, and that should have negated that. They might have allowed them because it would have taken place after the change of possession.
that's what I'm
They
saying.
might have let him keep the interception, but counted off 15. But I would have.
Well,
But
I mean, you're blocking. What do you mean? That's never happened before. So what kind of like penalty can you actually call? Like usually it would be okay. Well, it's because
there can't be too many men on the field after the ball's been hiked because that's not how they started that.
Yeah,
It would only, you know what? Dude would have had to been ejected.
I mean you would have to. He was blocking.
For entering the field of play when he wasn't supposed to be, when he and engaging with an opposing player, that would have been should have been an automatic ejection.
Yeah, I mean it was weird.
I didn't think about it like that, but now that you kick it like that, I was like, that's fucking crazy. And that's fucking crazy.
And he was blocking, which is the weird part.
Yeah, so basically you ran out. That'd be the same thing as brawling, coming off the bench to start throwing punches. That's literally the same fucking thing.
It's really weird.
That is fucking insane.
In case you guys are watching this and haven't, just go back and watch Derek Carr's interception, and you'll see a guy coming off the sidelines and blocking, and it just looks. I don't think that's ever happened before in football. I really don't. Not in the NFL. I've never heard of that before.
That's even worse than Tomlin trying to trip the dude on the kick return.
Oh yeah, I mean this guy, dude, went on the field. That's what I'm saying. If they would have scored a touchdown, I know usually the rule is, well, it happened after the interception, but I don't think they can give them the touchdown if a guy comes out and blocks for that guy to return the touchdown. You know what I mean? Like, how can you give that team the touchdown?
The moment that he enters the field to play, that ball, that they can do whatever the fuck they want to do with it, but that's a penalty, and we're moving back the other way at minimum.
Yeah, it was weird. But anyway, from there, the Raiders get it going. Josh Jacobs gets it going. This guy was a beast. And then in the fourth quarter, everyone just starts coming open. I mean, Derek Carr was spreading the ball around. Keelan Cole had a clutch catch. Foster Moreau ends up getting a touchdown after he drops it, a very easy one. I mean, everyone was involved. Mac Hollins was involved. He was spreading the ball around. Davante Adams, obviously, was involved. Derek Carr took a very hard shot at the beginning of the game. I didn't know. He looked like he was really hurt at first. But I don't know. I thought he broke a rib, to be honest.
It was now I will say that this time it was a legit shot and dude fell on him, so I'll give him that. We got about 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay. So anyway, so the Raiders, they do it, they win, they go two wins in a row, and now we got the Chargers, Phil. What do you think? Can the Raiders beat the Chargers
in
a row?
Punched them in their mouth, run it down their throats, just demoralize them, stop the run, get after Justin Herbert. He's got some rib problems too. Now nobody's talking about it as much as they were. But if Max was to get to him and fall on him, because like Al said, the quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard. And you put something in his mind and get him to thinking about Max Crosby, and suddenly we got a completely different ball game here.
Yeah, and the thing is too is, I mean, if the Raiders can win 3 in a row, I think it will do a lot for that locker room. You know what I mean? Like right now, I think they're already feeling good about themselves. Imagine if they win one more game. I mean, if they go 3-0 and beat the Chargers. By the way, the Chargers, they won last week. They had to go for it and go for 2. They're not that great. You know what I mean? Like this is a team the Raiders can beat.
Should have beat them the first time.
Yeah. Now I have this thing where I don't pick the Raiders, so because I don't do that anymore. They don't deserve it until it's But this is a winnable game. You think they can win it?
They're going to lose.
They're going to lose.
Every time I've said they were going to lose, they've come out and shown me to be wrong. So I'm going to stick with calling them to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I just expect them to lose every week. But you know what? If some miracle happens,
let me tell you this: they're executing right now, and that has been the key issue with this team the entire season. Has been situational, circumstantial execution in the clutch, and they are now executing when they have to on both sides of the ball to get off the field and get into the end zone or in position to get a game-winning score. And most importantly, if you look at this team, they're having fun. And when teams start having fun and start winning games, they become very, very dangerous.
Yeah, and like you said, they're executing. Whereas, and if you notice, they weren't shooting themselves in the foot with these stupid penalties. Offensive line. I mean, every time something good happens, like Derek Carr said the week prior, he's got to look back and see if there's a flag. I mean, you eliminate those penalties, guess what? All of a sudden, the team starts producing. You know what I mean? These big plays stay. And that's what they're going to need against the Chargers. And if they win against the Chargers, if they do, and the Raiders would, then things start getting real. Then you can start talking, hey, what if this happens? What if this happens?
Now the conversation will change, and not even what if this happens, because they still have an opportunity to take care of almost everything that they need to have happen. Once again, like last year, they just now have to do it for 2 months instead of 1.
Yeah,
but they've gone from the low 20s, from 0 to the low 20s to the 30s to now the 40s, and they've done it without Hunter Renfrow and without Darren Waller. And for all that we said about this team, and all that we've said negatively about Darren Waller, that is the key to this offense. And if they can get him out there, and if nothing else, just get him running routes, the spacing that he will open up will be unstoppable.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I have a bad feeling the guy's not going to come back. But
30 seconds, wrap it up.
Okay, so anyways, we will see you guys next week. Hopefully, we're on a 3-game winning streak. My name is Steven Michaels. Phil, check us out of here.